Hey YouTube, today I am going to be replacing our laundry room sink, which you can see just over my shoulder there. It is the big basin sink, so it's fairly large. Right now I have a tape measure, an X-Acto knife, because I'm going to be removing our sink that is in there now, which is it's 25 years old. It is plastic, and it has seen 25 years of paintbrushes and projects, and I don't even know what else, but it is definitely time for that thing to go. So we got a new sink. Hopefully this is all the tools I'll need: measuring tape, X-Acto knife, and screwdriver. So let's head to the laundry room and see if I can do this. Type 1 if you think I'm totally going to be able to do this. Type 2 if you think I should call for backup. So here is the existing sink, and you can see, I don't even know what that is. It's some kind of putty that is cooked onto the bottom of the sink. So this needs to go. The faucet needs replaced. This is the new sink, and it comes with a really nice looking basket strainer that screws in, and some fairly basic looking hardware. And this is all it came with for directions. So we're going to give those a quick peruse, and I'm going to jump into taking this sink out. And I've already cleaned out underneath here. So I'm going to disconnect that. We're going to go ahead and turn off the water and get started. I do have a bucket that we're going to put under to catch any water overflow once I take apart that pipe assembly. So if you've never been under your sink or taken this apart, which you should take this apart sometimes, because if you have one of these, you need to be able to clean that out occasionally, because sometimes Drano doesn't do enough. So we're going to go ahead and turn off both of these water inlets all the way, and have a rag handy because I can see a little bit of dripping going on there. So make sure you get those both turned off, and then we're going to come over here, and as you release this, you are going to see water. So you definitely want a bucket right here. Let that drain, and we're hoping that the bottom of these two sinks is exactly the same. If it's not, that will be outside the scope of this video because I am not a plumber. Okay, and then once you have that all the way off, you should be able to just work that off. And I just set it, it's gross, so set it down in the bottom, and then those can both just drip down while you're working on the sink above. We've also got a new faucet here and some instructions, so I'm going to be working on that a little bit later. So what I've got, and I started a little bit here just to see if this is actually going to work. I've just got this box cutter, and I've just run it under this very, very old silicone that was holding this old sink in place. And again, I am not a plumber or even I do a lot of DIY stuff around here, but I don't think I've ever done a sink. So we're just going to run it under all that silicone underneath, and I can hear it loosening up, so that's good. So now that we've got this all loosened all the way around, so we know this can be lifted, we need to get underneath the sink, and there are brackets underneath that are holding it, clipping it to the counter. So I need to get under there and release those. Fortunately for me, there are only 2 of these brackets under here holding the sink, and they were only finger tight. So I didn't have to use any crazy tools to get those off. So I was able to get those off, and there's definitely movement on the sink, so this will be able to come out. The next thing we need to do is unscrew the faucet from the 2 incoming water lines. So we can just lift this whole sink and faucet assembly right off here. Once you have the water pressure off from underneath the house and the water pressure is out of these lines, you can unscrew them, and they still, if they have any water in them, I'm just going to go ahead and put these in the bucket. Now, if I've done all of my Bob Avila things right, I should be able to lift this sink right out. So, and I'm just using a couple of screwdrivers to kind of as wedges, but it looks like it's not, probably be easier to do this with 2 people, honestly. But I was hoping to surprise my husband with the fact that I took out a whole sink while he was gone. So this is plastic. This isn't too heavy. I'm not like super strong. So there's the whole sink, and I'm just going to set it on a towel right next to where I'm working and clean up this edge with 25 years of gunk, and then we'll get the sink sitting in here and see if it fits. So I've just cleaned up this edge all around, and I am not an expert, but I thought there should be silicone in the directions for installing this sink. It says to put silicone, I believe it says to put silicone under this. There was no silicone around this edge, as in gluing the sink down. There was just a little bead that was around what was the outside edge of the sink where it was sealed, to seal that edge. There was none on this surface as glue to glue the sink to the counter. So maybe if there's someone out there that does this as for a living, could you chime in and let us know? Drop a comment in for the rest of anyone watching this video. Let them know if that's necessary or not, because it was not on this sink. Okay, here we go. This should fit. in this opening, but we don't actually know until we set it in there, do we? So let's try this and see. It's probably easier to do this again with 2 people, but it's just me, so we're gonna try this. You'll see if you can do this with 1 person. So we did run into a little snag. This cutout originally was not cut all the way back level with that, and I need it to be cut right to there. There's 2 clips on the back of the interior bottom of this sink, so we're gonna have to cut this along that line to get this sink to fit in, but not too big of a glitch. So I started some lines with just a small saw, but that's not going to cut it. Not to be punny, but I'm going to need something a little bigger. So if you aren't afraid to use power tools, here's your chance to shine. All right, after starting my career as a Sawzall sculptor, I've got cutouts that I knocked out for the notches on the sink, and then the faucet, and there's a soap dispenser that needs to fit under the counter. So I had to cut out a spot where that will hang under the sink. So I'm going to put the sink in, and we'll see if I need to make any more adjustments. This is about the 5th or 6th time I've dropped this thing in this hole, but there it is. Hopefully I didn't do that with the Sawzall. I think I did. So we're going to hook up faucets and see what we've got here. So we've got this lovely kind of hose, sort of a hose style faucet to work with. I'm going to start by feeding the water line down through. We're going to feed that down in. And then we've got our 2 water lines, which should attach right to those lines that we disconnected earlier. Stick those in. There's your label, which you're probably not supposed to remove under penalty of I don't know what. Drop that down in like that. I should probably read the directions before I start this. Just pause for a second while I actually read some directions. Good Lord. So we've got the sink in, and I've got the faucets sort of assembled. I've got to attach the water lines underneath, and then we have this. This is the little drain that has a little screw-in insert that looks really nice and heavy duty. And I'm just going to drop that in with the O-ring. That sets down in the sink, and then this comes up from underneath and screws on. So that should be pretty simple. Just going to put that in the bottom, line up the O-ring, and then go underneath and put that up under there to tighten that on. And there it is. Beautiful sink installed. We need to come back and put caulking around this edge. I got the faucets mounted, and the soap dispenser is full. It has my husband's favorite soap in it, and it works. And what we need to do next is get underneath and I cleaned these out, because if you've never cleaned these out, you should. They're not that hard to do. It's really gross, but it should be done. Clean these out, and we're going to get back underneath and put these back on, and we'll see if all of the connections are dry. All right, the water is all back on. The sink is all fortunately reconnected up to this new. It came with a new metal screw piece there. I'm just gonna attach this last piece and turn on the water and see if this is all gonna hold, but it looks really good. So there's the old sink, and there is my glorious new stainless sink. Faucet works. Got hot and cold. Let's take a look underneath and see. Everything looks good. So there you have it. I just checked the time. This took me almost exactly 5 hours by myself. And then we still need to do the caulking. But so if you have a 5-hour window and you're alone, you can in fact replace your own sink. I hope this helped you. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.